Welcome back, everyone. I don't have too much time to talk today, but I'm going to upload this. I'm glad for those of you that tuned in earlier for the post-Bernie dropout stream that you stuck around, liked it, saw that last moment when I screwed up the closing because somebody called me. In any case, what's going on right now is what I think is going to be called, could be called the Kulinski-Faultline. And if it does become called that, I'd be glad to take credit. But I don't expect it to. In any case, there's going to be a line drawn between people who decide that their main priority is defeating Donald Trump and those who say that it really doesn't matter whether Donald Trump or Joe Biden gets elected. And I think that Kulinski he's the only person I can think of that straddles that line. I don't think that he's going to vote for Joe Biden. I think that it will take a lot of pressure and cajoling to drag him kicking and screaming into any sort of begrudging endorsement of Joe Biden. And much of that is because of the treatment that the Bernie people got, not only in 2016 and 2020, but just from various issues that happened with the media. So here we go.
So don't be like that. Don't be like that. There were stories that a bunch of people were pissed at Bernie because Bernie accepted the endorsement of Joe Rogan. It's the most popular podcast host in America. God damn it, take yes for an answer. Take yes for an answer. What the hell? Yeah, but he said things that are bad and believes some things that are bad, and makes jokes that are bad. Oh, come on. What are you, 6? Grow up, man. It's so stupid. So on that kind of purity test, the purity of personal story, gone. Doesn't exist.
So I don't totally agree with what Kyle Kulinski is saying here, because I think, yes, it would have been a great idea for Bernie Sanders to accept Joe Rogan's endorsement, or at least say, welcome, Joe. Let's at least, at least you're starting to realize what I've been talking about. Now, I'm not on the progressive side, so I'm speaking as an outsider. But these are the same people who have excused a lot of the very rough talk that Cenk Uygur has said over the years. Cenk Uygur, being as he is he says that he was a former Republican. I think that was totally a contrived thing. He was never really a conservative. I think he just used to call himself that. But yeah, they've excused everything that he used to say. They've excused things that he said on bestiality. They've excused all of that. And then when he finally got into the race for that congressional seat, and it all started to bubble up because so many different people of so many different persuasions started to realize, yeah, Cenk Uygur's an idiot, and we can use his own words against him. No, I think the politics of personal history and stories are perfectly acceptable within certain parameters, especially if you're just trying to troll and clown a candidate. And the idea that you're going to... And then he goes on to his own purity test.
Get rid of it. Hate it. You should never buy into that nonsense. Never buy into the, ultra social justice warrior-y stuff that goes way too far. But then there's another kind of purity test. And this kind of purity test is purity of core principles or purity of core policies. On this one, I have a purity test, and I think you should too, and you need to demand it of your politicians.
So, yeah, I think Kyle Kulinski is right on this. I don't know if I made that clear. If you have politicians that are completely wishy-washy and they flip-flop all the time, people like Joe Biden, someone who did vote for the Iraq War and then much, much later said that he was against it, then, yeah, purity test, I think, is absolutely appropriate. And, Kyle Kulinski, I think, will be one of the big thorns in the side of the DNC, because he does have a substantial following. He is someone who is almost, I guess, an authority figure on the left for many people. I understand that the left is not a monolith. There's a lot of people who would probably say that Kyle Kulinski is too moderate for them. in which case it doesn't matter because those people probably wouldn't be voting for Biden anyway. So I would say it's going to be the Kulinski fault line. Anyone to the right of Kyle Kulinski, some of the people, for example, Cenk Uygur and some of the people on the Young Turks, I think that they would be all too comfortable with packing it in and supporting Joe Biden once the writing is on the wall. And the writing is on the wall now. The writing is on the wall. Joe Biden will be the nominee as of right now, unless he gets replaced. He's not going to be replaced with Bernie. Some of the people that also I am very amused that they're going to support Joe Biden under certain conditions are the people from Next Gen America. And Next Gen America is the organization that's been basically dominated by Tom Steyer. You might remember Steyer as the weirdo that would stare at the camera during the Democratic debates and pretend that Americans actually care about his climate alarmism. And therefore, you have these people who they're going here. It says, they have these key policy areas: climate change, gun violence prevention, immigration, and I think they're even calling for abolishing ICE. Commit to ending the collaboration between local police and ICE. So we'll see if Joe Biden accedes to this. Here, healthcare, support the Affordable Drug Manufacturing Act, support Medicare for all, champion the repeal of the Hyde Amendment and people's ability to, which is not going to happen because the Hyde Amendment, they would need both the House and the Senate to vote for repealing the Hyde Amendment. I certainly don't see them winning the Senate at the moment, and I don't think that they can hold on to the House. So yeah, that's not going to happen. Foreign policy, commit to seek congressional approval on any authorization of war and support repeal of 2001 and 2002 authorization for use of military force. Wealth tax, support an annual tax on the extreme wealth of the wealthiest 180,000 households in America who are in the top 0.1% based on proposals laid out by Senator Sanders, Senator Warren, and Tom Steyer. Here's the rub. How much are those people, Sanders, Warren, and Steyer, donating in order to deal with this current crisis with health, right, with the Wu flu? I don't see much about them. I see Elon Musk donating a lot of money. I even see apparently, what's the guy from Twitter's name? Dorsey apparently donated a massive sum of money. So when needed, a lot of these people do donate a lot of money. So they want all these people appointed as co-chairs, and for some reason it doesn't. I was expecting something about the Israel-Palestine conflict. I was expecting some stuff about Kashmir because a lot of these organizations, for example, you have the If Not Now movement, you have the Alliance for Youth Action, you have the Justice Democrats. The Justice Democrats might endorse Joe Biden if he takes some of these suggestions, which I think in the end he's not going to give them anything, and they'll still have to endorse him. Because what are they going to do? Are they going to, if they decide, this is something that's very important. If they decide, we're going to decide not to endorse anyone or endorse a third-party candidate, if any of these organizations do it, they lose all of their donor funding. They essentially dry up and go nowhere. They fall apart because they're all just houses of cards. They're graham cracker houses, in fact. So the If Not Now movement and Sunrise movement are two organizations that I've covered before that are a shadow network of activists that they astroturf and go everywhere, and that's really what I'm saying is going to be the key. You don't even see Kosecha joining in on this. Kosecha is their sister movement, and they are the most pro-illegal immigration movement that there is. So I don't know if they're going to be able to make an endorsement because Joe Biden blew them off repeatedly. In fact, let's take a look. So you have Secular Talk, Kyle Kulinski just going off and saying, yeah, we're not going to vote for Joe Biden. So we know where they are. Yeah, they haven't released any sort of statement on that. So let me see here. Okay, so this is their page, and they have no statement yet on the dropping out of Bernie Sanders. So yeah, they're basically, they're shit out of luck because they've already confronted Biden at various events trying to get him to commit to apologize for deportations, and he's basically given them the middle finger, which I give him credit for. So the illegal immigration lobby is already in a huge amount of trouble. Next, we're going to see real pressure on these if not now would be considered an anti-Israel group, but I don't think that they're going to have a problem endorsing Joe Biden in the end. It might be if they end up endorsing the Green Party candidate, that would be a very interesting move. The Sunrise Movement, I don't know what's going to happen with them. They were very, very close. And the Sunrise Movement was the biggest of these crazy movements that don't actually have any appeal among regular people. This was the one that still had the largest amount of participation because of climate change being the biggest issue for people trying to control the world. Okay, people who want more power and more control. Remember, the Green New Deal was a vehicle. It wasn't the immigration issue. Okay, the immigration issue, yes, very, very problematic. Not taking away from that. The gun control with the March for Our Lives, not taking away from that. I think that they're also, March for Our Lives Action Fund. So all of these disgusting movements, they're all in on this together. The climate change movement of them all is the most dangerous, and they would embrace the most drastic change. But I don't know if they're going to be able to actually cut the cord and support him. So this is their statement. Joe Biden is now the presumptive Democratic nominee, but he wasn't able to win over the vast majority of voters under 45 in the primary. So they said that they sent him a letter. It'll be interesting what these organizations. It'll be very, very interesting what side of the Kulinski fault line they fall. And if they do end up, my question is, if they do end up endorsing Joe Biden, if any of them do, what's Kyle Kulinski going to say? What will all of these so-called, you have Jimmy Dore, these so-called progressive voices, what will they say about it? I have no clue. I think that they're already very pissed off at the squad, AOC and Ilhan Omar, and I don't know about Rashida Tlaib. They are infuriated by it. And we're really seeing a massive fracture on the left that I don't think can be healed. And it certainly doesn't bode for a united front in the Democratic, the Democratic bid for presidency now. It's not even a primary anymore. So that's about it. I do have to go. Please like, share, and subscribe. I wish you a happy Passover, or I don't know what the greeting is for Easter, but if you celebrate Easter, I hope it's meaningful for you. If you're not celebrating a holiday, that's also cool. Please like, share, and subscribe. You can find me on all these other platforms. Of course, YouTube is where we are. BitChute, Minds.com, Subscribe, Star, and Gab.